Hello everyone, and welcome once again to another video for the channel. On this occasion I bring you the complete review of unusual prehistory, one of the best prehistoric creatures mods of all Minecraft, a mod that will come with a great number of extinct creatures that we can bring back to life with the help of new machines and ancient fossils. And be careful, not all of them will be dinosaurs, and they will even come from different times. But before starting, let me ask you please, you subscribe and leave your like, since that will be helping me a lot to continue uploading content like this every week. And well, without anything else to say, now let's get started. Well, to start our adventure for this new world, the first thing we should know is that now we will be able to find new types of minerals, which will really be fossils. We will be able to find most of these fossils. In mines, we will have both Mesozoic fossils, Paleozoic plants, of opal and amber. These will be found exclusively in mines. However, later we will have 3 fossils, a little more rare and special. The most basic will be the tar one. Well, yes, we can find it in mines, but also, there will be a chance of finding it on the surface, in tar lakes, where the tar monster will live. That by defeating him, he will be leaving us his fossil. Another rare type of fossil will be the petrified trunk, found in small structures of our world, usually in deserts. And finally, the rarest of all, which curiously should be our first step. In this mod, we are talking about permafrost, containing in this not a fossil as such, but rather frozen meat. This only can be found in special icebergs. From this mod, we can know that it is the correct one, having a frozen creature in the center. A very nice detail. Well, in real life, this has happened more than once, especially with mammoths and smilodon cubs. Once the fossils were obtained, now we will have to create 2 new artifacts, the analyzer and the grower. Good to start the resuscitation process. As I told you, it is necessary to have the DNA of a smilodon. Well, thanks to this, we will understand the entire resuscitation process with mammals, since the other creatures will have a different process. So good. For this, we will first have the frozen meat. We must place this in the analyzer, along with these new bottles. And be careful, here we will have several possibilities. Well, in a single fossil can give us different types of DNA. This will depend more than anything on your luck. Although in the worst case, also, there will be a chance that they will turn into rock or ice. And well, once we have a successful result, now we will have the DNA of the smilodon, which we must now place in a cultivator, and the organic ooze, which will be done in the following manner. We now place the smilodon DNA inside, and after some time, it will give us the smilodon embryo, which for our luck, yes, there will be a close relative, with which we can incubate it. Having this in hand, and right-clicking on an ocelot, the incubation process will begin so that at the end, after this time, end up making a smilodon hatchling. Although this will not be a pure smilodon, because their genes will have mixed with those of the ocelot. Fortunately, it will also be useful for us. Well, once revived, 2 species of smilodon will begin to groom each other, leaving her locks of hair on the ground. Ingredient for the insulator. As a next step, now we will have to get the DNA of it encrusted. It will be the same process, but unlike the smilodon. This one we can place on the ground like an egg. For these steps, I always recommend placing it outdoors, on grass blocks. The hatching process usually takes between 20 minutes to an hour. So, you better start finding what can you do in that time. How to see my videos, for example, wink wink. Now, once this one has been born, now we must finish him off. Yes, a little unfair for this mutant bug, but oh well. It is for the good of science. When we finish him off, he will be leaving us the piece of amber, in addition to the encrusted organ. And now yes, with this and other objects like the insulator, we will be able to create the incubator, a single-use machine that will be able to bring creatures into life, mammals that have no close relatives today, such as mammoths, Gigantopithecus, Omegatheriums, anything that is an embryo. We will have to place it in this incubator. And even also, if we come to love the pure-blooded Smilden, we can place it in this, and thus have the white-haired Smilden. And you're probably wondering, should I do the same with all creatures? And not. As I told you, it will only be the process for the embryos. In case like the dinosaurs, we will have the egg that we will only have to place on the grass or waters, and the latter is an aquatic creature. And other slightly simpler cases, like plants, that will only be leaving us their sprout or seeds. As you see, it is an extremely easy process. And as extra information, we will also have a DNA freezer, which will exist to preserve in conditions the DNA of the creatures, in case you want to save them for later, or have too much DNA. Well, look, you can place them here instead of a simple chest. And well, since we are done with the whole fossil issue and resuscitation, now yes, let's go all in on all the new creatures that will be adding this mod. Starting with the mammals, we will have the Smilodon, a huge feline with huge fangs, which gave him his famous name as a tiger. Saber-toothed cats living in the Pleistocene and Holocene, being one of the main rivals of primitive humanity. And it is that if one of these, you might come across some humanoid creature, will not hesitate to attack him. This includes villager players or villagers. If these are accompanied by other Milidon, caress each other, leaving her locks of hair on the ground. Ingredient for the following crafts. Gigantopithecus will be a huge orangutan, listed as the largest primate in history, appearing at the beginning of the Pleistocene. And they will not go away aggressively. On the contrary, they will love walking around it. But if there is something that these people love, it is the zoology, a kind of primitive bamboo that we can revive with plant DNA. And that when giving it to him, he will be exchanging it for rare items, such as different types of fruit. And by placing it and breaking it, we'll be leaving us different objects, each one being rarer than the last. Red fruit will be the most basic, giving you pieces of exotic fruit, seeds, and a horsetail sprout. White fruit will give you pieces of exotic fruit, and some other sprouts, like high ponytail, carrots, or shiny watermelon. In addition to the handmade axe, a powerful 10 damage slow battle axe. When attacking sadly, it will not have the same utility as a normal axe, being much slower when cutting down. The yellow fruit will leave you with a piece of exotic fruit, lapis lazuli gold nuggets, the crocarina, and the handmade cane. A powerful weapon of 13 and damage, but with very little speed. And finally, the blue fruit is becoming the most popular of all, giving you pieces of exotic fruit, 3 shoots of primitive trees, emerald's iron nuggets, a new music album, and the handmade spear. A weapon of 8 damage, low speed, but with the ability to charge every so often. And mind you, remember the pieces of exotic fruit. Well, depending on its rarity, we will create a whole fruit that will give us much more food and saturation. The mammoth will possibly be treated of the most famous extinct mammal of all, being a powerful type of elephant who traveled through cold places since the Pleistocene period. Curiously, we can find some of these in very good condition, inside icebergs. From time to time, things tend to stick to his fur. To be able to take it off, we will require a tyrannical crown, and having it on, we will be able to shear them like sheep, leaving us with these rare objects. But if you thought that was all, the mammoths, now they will be an incredible source of food, giving us their steaks. That later, when joining them, they will give us the meatball, filling 10 food points, and giving us 100 points of saturation. Megatherium will be known as the giant sloth, a huge mammal that lived between the early Pliocene periods and early Eocene, the only way to be able to tame it. We'll be carrying a baby Megatherium. And our back, with the help of a dino pouch. We must keep it on our chest for 5 minutes. And then release it, which once grown will allow us to mount it. And activate with this a digging ability. With the G key, removing dirt blocks, much faster than with a shovel. Then we will have the Paraceratherium. It is nothing more and nothing less that of the largest mammal that has ever walked the earth. Or at least the one that is known, who lived in the Oligocene period. These creatures, although they are herbivores, they are extremely aggressive, and other than that, will not have any extra use. With this, we have finished with the section on mammals. So now, it's the turn of aquatic and semi-aquatic creatures. First, we will have the ammonite, one of the oldest creatures, of which we are aware. These mysterious cephalopods, they disappeared in the Cretaceous period. We can keep them in buckets of water, or finish them off, to obtain the fragments of its shell, with which we can create its shell, in a decorative way, or the battle peak, a tool with the same function as a pickaxe, and a sword. Beelzebufo was a huge type of Cretaceous frog that preyed on smaller creatures. And to meet your favorite food, with which we can even control it. Well, with the help of a saddle and a stick with meat, which will be done as follows. We can control it by hitting huge highs. Curiously, when it feeds, it will be releasing its drool, with which we can create the name tag. The Scalmanacea, it will be a small fish that lived in the Devonian period. We can store it in buckets of water, cook it, or cover it with gold to obtain Scalmanacea. Gilt had a food that will fill 7.5 of food, and 33 saturation. Continuing, we meet the powerful Dunkleosteus, a highly aggressive aquatic creature, considered the top predator of its time. Well, the only thing that could pose a threat to this, it was precisely another of its kind. This one lived in the Devonian period, but curiously, they will be able to calm down, to the point of not attacking any creature again, feeding it with gold and Scalmanacea. Elstathocanthus, it will be a small relative of sharks, with a bump on his head, who lived in the Devonian period. We can store it in buckets of water, or cook it so you can eat it. Arion will be a kind of primitive crab that lived in the Jurassic period, possibly in swamps. And although it might seem like another animal, one way will have one of the most incredible abilities. Well, if this comes too, find yourself in a place with sand. We'll start digging, taking out some treasures like bones, strings of gold, or iron nuggets. But without a doubt, the best treasure will be the new fossil design, each belonging to a creature of the same mod. The Palaeophis. It will be an extremely large aquatic snake, which curiously did not lay eggs. Well, at the moment when some offspring were born, I did it like a mammal. Palaeophis was a large snake that lived at the end of the Cretaceous period, from time to time shedding its scales. Very interesting artifacts, with which we can make the scale armor, giving us the ability to move much faster underwater, and even reaching the point of enhancing the abilities of opal shurikens. And with this, we're done with the aquatic creatures too, which is a world which could even extend much further in the future. When this mod, I ended up having a next update. Well, let's go now for the rest of the terrestrial creatures. The Tau pandas will be a strange bird, very similar to modern ducks, who lived in the Oligocene period. Curiously, these prefer dark places, even getting scared if they are near a lot of light. They will have the ability to dig into blocks of dirt, with roots to remove hanging roots. And your Ognathus will be a kind of creature, similar to an owl and a frog, which lived at the end of the Jurassic, being mainly insectivorous, feeding on spiders, silverfish, or bees. And speaking of bees, they will have the same ability to pollinate as these, making plants and crops grow much faster. Osteoraptor will be a neutral creature that will only attack fish or other prey smaller than it. This lived in the Upper Cretaceous period. As I said, it is not an aggressive being unless it is attacked first. The interesting thing will be that from time to time, when he starts grooming himself, we'll leave one of its feathers on the ground, with which we can breed Osteoraptor boots. That they will give the ability to nullify fall damage. But also, if this one were to be defeated, he will not be leaving his meat, ingredient for the meat buffet. Continuing, we will have the Velociraptor known to many. Although many people know it, more than anything because of the way the films are made, resembling a miniature Tyrannosaurus and not. It really is much more like a bird. This lived in the Cretaceous period, being quite clever because they will have the ability to open doors and touch amber buttons. In doing so, on some occasions they will be shedding their feathers, with which we can create the Osteoraptor boots and the Speed Shield, a fast shield that will protect you from attacks, and that will give you the ability to hit small bursts of speed every so often. Antarctopelta is a powerful ankylosaur that lived at the end of the Cretaceous period. It will be a fairly defensive herbivore against hostile creatures, not only with prehistoric creatures, but also against zombies or skeletons. In some of these cases, this will drop a part of his armor, with which we can create the Macool the Primeval, a powerful sword with 10 damage, but very slow to attack. Continuing, we will have the Baronosuchus, possibly one of the most fearsome predators. Well, this will be practically a land crocodile, with enormous size and speed, who lived in the Eocene period. Will be a highly hostile predator that only can be appeased with a legendary instrument. We are talking about Crocorina, one of the possible trades with the Gigantopithecus. I want to ask you to stay still, wander, or follow us, basically like Evolve, but taking it to a new level. El Branchisaurus, possibly one of the largest creatures, who has stepped on our land. I am coming to live in the Upper Jurassic period, being able to get mounted, but only in its adult stage, only by putting a saddle on them. If this were to let go, it will protect you from the fall, preventing you from getting hurt. And curiously, it will be so big that we can even stand on this. The Cotyloranchus will be a very strange creature, with a very robust body, but with an abnormally small head, basically like a primitive cow, because he would love to eat plants, like ponytails. In addition, we will also be able to milk it for obtaining the bottle of grog, that although it will make you nauseous, it will also give you positive effects, as strength or resistance. Another interesting one, it will also be a source of meat. We can cook it and it will feed us 6 food points and 17 saturation. Or equally on the other hand, use it for the creation of meat with a stick, or the meat buffet. The encrusted will be a kind of bug, or mosquito of the Mesozoic era. And unlike other creatures, this will have suffered a mutation in its DNA, thus mixing with amber itself, being a highly hostile animal, which must be removed when hatching from its egg, which will be leaving us pieces of amber and its organ. Important ingredient for the creation of the incubator and the DNA freezer. And speaking of mutant creatures, we will have the Huadchavinator, being a creature as strange as a fictional being, being a theropod that lived at the end of the Jurassic. This dangerous dinosaur will have the ability to throw thorns from its tail, being quite aggressive but able to be domesticated. Feeding him with several plates of meat buffet, making it so that now he can stay still, follow us, or wander around in the best case, defend ourselves with their thorn-throwing attack. Enkentrosaurus, it will be a kind of Stegosaurus, coming from the late Jurassic. Will be a neutral creature, but that doesn't mean it's a harmless being, since on his back he will have a lot of thorns that you can use to defend yourself, something we could even use to our advantage. Well, by feeding it with the horsetail plant. He will lie down, it will be impossible to move him, causing a lot of damage to anyone who gets close to it. This amazing mechanic, I'll be leaving it to your imagination. The Majungasaurus, it will be a strange type of abelisaur from the Cretaceous period, Although unfortunately for him, it's a rival in these modern times. It went terribly wrong. Well, apparently, his DNA was broken, giving him this strange appearance. In addition to being extremely aggressive, even going so far as to wipe out their own species. Only can be appeased with Kotai Lorhich's meat. Another interesting thing will be that when attacking someone, we'll leave pieces of its shell, with which we can create the Majungasaurus helmet. A helmet as tough as netherite, and that will be giving us strength. Continuing, we will have the Megalania, a huge and very aggressive monitor lizard that lived in the Pleistocene period. These will have a powerful poisonous bite, and depending on the climate where it was born, their color and behavior will be different. In the cold, it will be calmer, and the hot one will be more active. Wink, wink. However, this could also give us something interesting. Well, if we get close enough, and we right-click on it with any weapon or tool, we will be giving it the poison effect. Although this will not last forever, the Patchy will be a pretty strong little creature, and with a reinforced skull, with which you can lay strong headbutts. Whoever sees as a threat. This lived in the Cretaceous period. Although at first it will not be aggressive towards humans. After a while, he won't tolerate them. However, when feeding it with ginkgo seeds, will be friendly to us for longer. In addition to blessing us with the push effect. The Triceratops is one of the extinct animals, most famous herbivores that ever existed, with a huge croissant on his head, accompanied by 3 horns that gave it its name. This one lived in the Cretaceous period, being a powerful dinosaur that rivaled in strength with the largest predators. So they will only attack you to defend themselves, but they can also be domesticated by feeding them with ginkgo fruits, the sprout of a historic tree that we can revive. And they will even allow us to ride them. Wherever in the state we press the G key, we will be causing harm to our enemies. But fortunately, it won't be its only use. Well, when a Triceratops reaches adulthood, we'll be shedding its horns, allowing us with these to create the strike shield. Such a powerful shield that will allow us to fighting conditions to the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Although sadly today it does not have any crafting. The Ullabegosaurus might look like an aggressive creature, but this one usually prefers small animals, like sheep or cows. These came to live in the Cretaceous period, which were normally found on beaches. Something interesting about this, it depends on the color of its crest. Will have enhanced abilities. For example, the blue-colored specimens, which will be a little faster. The white-crested ones, they are much more robust and resistant to impacts. And finally, the orange-crested ones, which will have the damage enhanced. So far, only these have been discovered. Although it is possible that over time, there are more copies of other colors. And finally, we will have the powerful Tyrannosaurus Rex. It is undoubtedly the most famous dinosaur of all, and the most powerful predator that ever existed on land, appearing in the Cretaceous period. This powerful king of the lizards will be neutral towards the players, only defending itself if it were to be attacked. Having such a powerful bite that can easily destroy of normal shields. For said confrontation, it is recommended to use the improved Triceratops shield, being the only one able to withstand the bite of this monster. When he is about to die, will throw himself to the ground. If we take advantage of this moment and right-click on it with an ornate staff, we'll regain his strength and will reward us with some things, among them their scales and their teeth. But unfortunately, this mod has some bugs. Well, at least in my case, this last reward was not given to me. This may end up being fixed in a next update. But let's imagine for a moment that will indeed be leaving us these rewards. With its teeth, we can create the following objects, while with the scales, we can create the following. Among them is the Rex Bomb Box, a very powerful sound box, being able to cause small tremors when activated. While on the other hand, we will have the head of a Tyrannosaurus, a pretty amazing decorative piece. Well, it seems that we have already finished our tour, but people like that don't do things around here. I know that many people still have some doubts about the tools. But first I remind you that you can subscribe and leave your powerful like. That will continue to give me strength to continue finishing this video. So okay, let's go for this last review. Crocarina will be an interesting tool, which will be obtained from a yellow fruit, product of one of the Gigantopithecus traits. Its only use will be to domesticate the Baronosuchus with his beautiful music. The speed shield will be a quick shield, which will have the ability to give small impulses. Speed the strike shield. At the moment, there will be no crafting of any kind. Has the ability to withstand an attack from the bite of a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Unlike other shields, that will end up breaking. The bottle of grog. It will be obtained at the time of milking a Cotylorhynchus, intoxicating the player, but in return giving it a positive effect, as strength or resistance. The Pick of War. It will be the fusion of a pick and a sword. Also, at the moment the McCoolweedle is not working very well. Primitive will be a powerful 10 damage weapon, but quite slow. It is believed that this could bring down a devastating one hit. This is possibly another error as well, that they are going to fix it soon. The handmade spear. We can get it by breaking a blue fruit. Product of trading with the Gigantopithecus. Will have the ability to propel us forwards every so often. The handmade axes. A powerful weapon that we will obtain from the white fruit. This will only serve as a weapon and will not have the same ultimate efficiency than a normal axe. The handmade cane will be obtained from the yellow flute, being quite strong, counting 13 damage, but the attack was very slow. Majungasaurus helmet will be a powerful helmet, made from scales, that will fall off when they attack us, which will have 3 protection and armor hardness, plus to Osteoraptor boots. They will be extremely good for exploration, making us immune to fall damage. And well, with this we come to my final conclusion. And I won't lie to you, a pretty fun adventure. But what is true is that, as you saw, the mod still has too many problems, which does not make it a bad mod at all. Well, it will continue to be updated and corrected. Those little problems. In the visual section, it would be more to everyone's taste. At least in my opinion, it looks pretty decent. It won't be as surprising as the Dawn era, for example, but it is within the line of what is acceptable. And with all this, I only have to ask you, what did you think of this mod? Which of all the creatures was your favorite? Or the one that caught your attention the most? I will be reading you in the comments. And well guys, I hope you liked it. That they are fun, that is the most important thing for me. If you liked the video, I will ask you to please leave your like. Please comment on what you thought of this video. What other types of videos would you like to see on the channel? And also subscribe. That is very important. Remember that leopards and panthers, they are the same animal. And see you in the next video. Bye.